Hello and welcome to the Two Robbies podcast, your destination for in-depth discussion and analysis of the Premier League and the Champions League. I'm Robbie Mustoe, he's Robbie Earle, and here are today's topics. Arsenal lose their first match of the season as Man United get their fourth consecutive win. Chelsea grabs all 3 points as VAR controversially rule out late equalizer for West Ham United. Everton hold off Liverpool at Goodison Park. Steven Gerrard gets a reaction from his side as they draw 1-1 with Man City. Harry Kane wins it for Spurs, but another scoreless day for Heung-Min Son. And Brighton put more pressure on Brendan Rodgers. That's what we've got coming up in today's episode.
That's right, my friend, and because the Premier League is back, so is your chance to win $50,000. Play Premier League Pick'em for free and you can become the next big winner. Download the NBC Sports Predictor app today, available in the App Store or the Google Play Store. Well, I think we have to start with the biggest game of the weekend, my friend, in Manchester, at Old Trafford. Manchester United faced Arsenal. There was a time that these two were 1 and 2 in the league, setting the standard, and
for a long time.
The Wenger and the Ferguson eras were some of the classic days of Premier League. This was different. Ten Hag in charge of Manchester United, 3 straight wins. It was Mikel Arteta, 5 straight wins for him. So people were talking, and you were saying, this is a litmus test. This is when we'll learn and find out a little bit more about them teams. Having seen the game, having known the score, what have we learned?
Okay, so I think we've learnt that Manchester United are definitely on the right path. Mm-hmm. I think, again, without overreacting, Ten Hag is getting stuff straight. I think he made some difficult decisions a few weeks ago now with the back four and changes, Maguire being the big one, but also Malacia coming in and starting at left back. I think that's been better. And the rest of it looked pretty good as well. We'll get into the details, Rob. For Arsenal, what did I learn? That they can go to Old Trafford when United are finding some form and still play their stuff. This wasn't a doom and gloom or a bad day for Arsenal. Of course, it's never good when you don't win and you lose a game, but I thought there was signs of a better side, a more mature team, a team that's got a little bit more about it. The younger players, I think sometimes in the past might have not hidden, but have been a little bit. The game might have passed them by. Don't think that happened. They played some of the football that they wanted to play, but big moments, big decisions went against them. Just before we get into details, Rob, I think just on the team starting lineup, so some interesting calls made by managers. Anthony, the $100 million man,
from Ajax,
started instead of Elanga on the right hand side. And of course, Eriksen played alongside McTominay. Casemiro didn't start the game. I thought that was key. And for United and for Arsenal, Zinchenko was back. That was a big part of it.
We weren't really sure.
And Odegaard was okay,
and
Ramsdale was okay. So we got to see two teams that not far off their best lineups. Did you think the scoreline, Rob, before we get into some details, was a fair reflection of what we witnessed?
I felt there's probably 1 goal difference in the teams, really. I know we'll get to talk about Christian Eriksen. I thought he made a big difference. Let me just talk a little Ten Hag and bigger picture, Rob, because we talked about coming into this game and where he was, and I think we've just done a lowdown with Rebecca, Lady Lowe, and asked how were Manchester United as they were in the first 2 weeks, and what's the difference in the last 4 weeks, and I just want to point to Ten Hag, Rob, in some respect. And I know for some people he may not have the presence that some talk about, the gravitas or whatever, but there's a couple of interesting things I've been thinking about the last few days when I think about United and I see the win today. I think he went into a football club, Rob, that was dishevelled, that didn't have structures in place, that didn't have very good recruitment. And I think one of the things he's done is decided, you know what, I'm going to take this on myself. I think he's been forced into bringing in players who he knows, so he can trust what he's doing. I think he's gone into the football club, and I don't think he's been influenced by other people or other things. I got the sense with Earle, maybe Van Gaal to a bit. There was a bit where they were, if they bought Casemiro, they feel like they'd have to play him. If Ronaldo's fit, he has to play. I think this guy's gone in and gone, well, great players, and I want Casemiro, but Scott McTominay. You're playing, you've got the shirt, show me how good you are. And right now, I don't think you could drop Scott McTominay. And I think that message that goes across to players, Harry Maguire, you know, he's looked at him for a couple of games and gone, "You're captain of Manchester United, but you ain't playing very well. I'm going to drop you." I don't think Ollie would have done that, Rob. I think some things have been done that
tough decisions, Rob. Tough decisions.
Yeah, tough decisions. I think he's grabbed hold of this football club and said, I'm going to build it how I want to build it, and hopefully you're going to come along with me.
Maybe the first couple of games when some of the players were in there that he didn't really want in. It's
Yeah.
like, but that's it. Like that's it. You've had to go.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, it's
You've had to
confirmed
look at it,
what
yeah.
I think is that certain players shouldn't be in the side. So again, said it a few times. Back four is very different.
Yes.
Foundation
more reliable, isn't it?
More reliable, less drama, less mistakes, less howlers, more together, better defensively. But we got to. I mean, I feel like, I guess each week, Rob, we're seeing getting a little vindication of what we think.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think we've said it a couple of weeks now. The Bruno Fernandes and Christian Eriksen is such an important part of the team because, as McTominay and Fred, you know. Yes,
we love them. We love the energy.
Yeah,
and all
well,
that,
their
but,
attitude to the game is great. But a club like Manchester United, you've got to have quality.
Yeah.
Christian Eriksen is an incredible footballer, and I do believe, my friend, I'm going to pause here because Christian Eriksen is my weekend most underrated performer.
Very early shout for underperformance.
Underappreciated. I lost what the catch line was there for a second. It's early. He's underappreciated of what a very, very good footballer he is. Now, at previous clubs, we know it. At Spurs, we know he's a very good player, etc. We saw it at Brentford a little bit, but I think we're seeing it again now. His quality is underestimated, and the impact on a team for him is underestimated. At Brentford, he turned their season around, by the way.
Yeah.
They'd lost about 4 or 5, 6 games. He came in, changed it. At Spurs, he was magnificent, which went for him being demanded and leaving. Didn't work out overseas when he gets his move. But I just think his general quality is making a lot of difference right now. Again, defence, tip my hat, well done.
Yeah.
Rashford, you know, we're talking Anthony and stuff, and Sancho have stepped up as well. Yeah. But I think the most important part is the ability of Eriksen to know where Bruno is. Looks around the corner, flicks it around the corner first time. The understanding, they look for each other. Happened throughout today a lot and in previous games. So Eriksen, brilliant game. Underestimated performer.
It's a really good shout. Involved in all the good stuff that Manchester United did today. And I tell you who he won't be underappreciated for is Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes has come alive again, Rob.
Yeah.
He's got a player who reads him, who's on this wavelength, who understands, who plays him in good position. Those two, look, you can just see.
You're a 10, right?
Yeah.
Well, so let's do it about ourselves. Me and you are playing side by side number 6s, right, holding midfield players, and we've got a brilliant playmaker. If we're in the Premier League, in all fairness to us, there's other things that we could do, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure our playmaker's going to be too thrilled
to have
with me and you.
Yes.
I think it's the same situation. You get Eriksen,
Flying balls into
Bruno all
him.
of a sudden is like, wow, this guy's going to find me.
Yeah.
So I can move here, I can move here. He's going to move
Bruno
more.
looks a different player all of a sudden because Bruno's numbers and attitude and the body language wasn't great. All of a sudden he's sparked into life, Rob. And the challenge will be, and today was one of those, when they play Big Six teams who want possession, is Eriksen good enough out of possession to hold that position in midfield and get you enough control?
There was some talk today, Rob, and I looked at the game a little bit, and Odegaard maybe was dominating a little bit in the midfield.
Yeah.
That's not just because of him, by the way. It's because of the way that they play in possession.
The setup, very good.
They go from a 4-2-3-1 to a kind of a diamond in midfield, and it's really clever,
Odegaard,
and it's grooved, and we can't. It's not great to do this over a podcast, but that's part of the reason. But we saw it today, Rob. Arsenal are good footballing
If you
side.
play Man City, I'm just asking the question. If you play Man City, and we know the qualities, and we both appreciating what Christian Eriksen does, are you going to get enough from him on them days? Or, and this is what I was thinking before the game, Rob. I was thinking about Arsenal, but let's just say I'm thinking of City, a good Liverpool.
Not many others.
Yeah,
this is Arsenal.
He
played today against Arsenal.
I'm saying, but just bear with me because I just want to sort it out. Is there days when you might go Casemiro, McTominay, and Bruno?
Maybe.
Just
not
the
many,
odd day.
Not many days.
Yeah, the odd
like
day.
2 or 3.
But to win a game, to maybe get into top 4 or something, might that be just because, and that's in no way a slur on Eriksen, in no way a thing. But sometimes I just need another body that's a little bit more.
You know what I think, Rob, and I know where you're coming from. Of course, I do.
Yeah.
You just talked about Erik ten Hag making tough decisions and sticking by it. I think he might say, I don't care. Now, if in game, it's a problem, I'll make the change then.
With it.
But I'm not gonna restrict our football because I'm worried about them.
Like it, yeah.
And
I like it. I think you may well be right.
So off the bench is something they can always do. Just like kind of slowly going through the game, Rob.
Yeah.
We don't go through every incident. Anthony scored a goal, 35th minute. Well done.
Yeah.
The ball breaks. I think it's those two players linked up again.
Yeah.
Eriksen flicks it to Bruno, gets it to Rashford.
Rashford plays him in. Goal.
Well done.
Yeah.
Give me your. What are you laughing for? So other general.
Why are you doing this to me?
No, but just how did he look on day one?
He scored a goal.
Brilliant, which is great.
Yeah. And eventually, whatever happens, he'll be judged on goals and assists. So he's off to a good start. There's a lot more to come. There's a lot more understanding of Premier League football. There's a lot more understanding of the tactics, the way they play. There's a lot more that he can do with the ball than without the ball. Little moments, you see the flicks and the thing. I think United fans are going to love him, but he's got stuff to learn. But I almost felt it was like, go on, go and have an hour today and go and do your thing. Go, and we'll get you up to speed. We'll get you into the system, and you'll do better. Yeah. But go and sparkle a little bit today.
And I listen. There's no criticism here at all. Yeah. I would have liked to have seen him run at defender a little bit more, Rob. You know, we talked about it in the pre-game about this is a matchup that's going to be fun to watch, and totally get it. Your debut at Old Trafford, I just thought he was a little safe.
Yeah, played back a little bit.
Played sideways a little bit. I'd love to have seen his pace because he's got a few, particularly the first 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, when United
he had a few opportunities where he's like, go and take him on. We didn't quite see it. That's hopefully we're going to see a little bit more.
I think
but you can't ask much more for that. No. Playing it starts in a game against Arsenal. They win the game 3-1. He gets a goal. Yeah, really great. Of course, goals were exchanged a little bit at this point, and then we get the big incident of the disallowed goal, and it's brought back for a foul on Christian Eriksen by Martin Odegaard in the build-up play. Now, in the show, we showed the highlight, and Paul Tierney, the referee, live
has a good view at it.
Is 8 to 10
yards
away.
Max. He
sees the
clearly.
Challenge, and we know that the bar is meant to be a little higher for certain physicality and challenges in the game. He saw it, thought it was kind of okay. The play develops, goal goes in, and then VAR, of course, gets like, oh, okay, goal, right. Okay, was there a foul back there? Yeah. And they go back, and when you look at it lots of times, you can see there's a potential foul there. But isn't this meant to be VAR? Stay away, keep off your microphone, unless there's a clear and obvious error that Paul, you've got to this is a. Was it that bad?
I would agree.
Was it that bad?
I turned to Rob, and we're not going to spend
it's so hard not to re-referee on VAR.
Yeah.
So hard not to re-referee.
It almost goes down to re-refereeing. But what's happened? Why we're criticising VAR is because referees are making good decisions and not making strong decisions. If you think it's not a foul, play on. And when the guy says to you, I think it's a foul, I don't think it was a foul, goal given, or give the free kick or say that you're not sure and then go back to VAR. But I thought it was a foul. I've watched it enough time, I think it's a foul. But if the referee has got a good view of it...
He did.
And
he wasn't sure, and he thought, I'll let it go.
So so we'll let VAR referee it then. Well, VAR should be coming in. It's a clear and obvious error. Was it clear and obvious error?
I don't think it was a clear and obvious error, but again, this weekend's been a tough one for... It's not VAR, by the way. It's not VAR.
I think the standard of the match officials on the game. VAR gets a lot of stick, and the operators of VAR are not doing themselves a lot of favour. But I tell you what, Rob, the standard of referees on the pitch on the day are making some really poor calls. Yeah. And then we go to VAR, and then it all kicks off.
Yeah, and VAR getting involved. I guarantee it. I guarantee the World Cup, right, and the Champions League starting next week. I almost guarantee it on here now. that we aren't even going to notice VAR.
Yeah,
they stay out of it more, Rob. They stay out of it more.
We've got to the stage where a goal goes in and we all just and go, let's wait. What is it? We can't celebrate anymore.
They're going to find something. And,
you know what I was thinking about just coming down? I was thinking, all those great goals we've all, the Beckham goal and the Canyon. If some of them were being played now, they'd have been ruled out because they'd have found something.
Totally.
They'd have found something. Yeah. Oh, he's in the line of the goalkeeper. Oh, there was a phase of play that somebody tripped over the lace.
His toenails offside there. We've got to call it. We've got to call it. Sorry, guys, we've got to call it off. So
let's not go down the VAR.
No, not too much.
Let's turn to Arsenal, my friend, because they were coming in 100% record. Stronger team than we thought. With the three players we talked about were in the team. Yep. Probably only Thomas Partey short of full strength.
Yeah.
Lokonga in midfield. Had to weather the storm, I thought, for the first 10-15 minutes when United started well, and obviously, big game, Anthony in the side, and United, Old Trafford buzzing. Thought they had a good spell, Rob, where they got on the ball. Odegaard, as you say, started to make things tick. Looked like Saka might give Malacia a bit of trouble on one side. Martinelli was starting to have a little bit more effect on the other. And there was a period where I thought, good Arsenal, good, confident, having the ball, understand what they're doing. It kind of looked and felt like this looks better.
Yeah, I mean, at half time we both sort of said like both teams look good.
Yeah,
both teams look good, and what I liked about Arsenal, particularly as well in the second half, is they played some really good football.
Yeah, they did,
some lovely combination play. We know how they set up is a little different with the ball, and it works really well to get players free. Yeah. Helps their build-up play. I mean, maybe the final third, Rob, could have been a little better. Yeah. Credit to Manchester United's back forward and the way that they've improved. Yeah. There's I've just had a quick look on social media before we jumped on this pod, Rob, and quite a lot of people saying best team didn't win, and they were unlucky in some ways because they had more of this and more of that. I thought it was a fair result, but I think there's nothing. I thought Arsenal was still impressive.
Yeah.
And I saw a team that did want to play their way. Yeah. They didn't kind of shirk or hide or have any regrets. I think in the general, the way they played, the way that Mikel Arteta said afterwards, Rob, that he thought they were the better team, they should have won the game. They did come to play. Yeah. And I think, what I feel about Arsenal and the way that they attempt the game, similar to Man City and a few others, and your Brightons and your expansive teams, is that when it goes well, it looks lovely. Yeah. But when it doesn't go well, they can concede against good sides at transition.
Or change
because they have to expand to be good on the ball. Yeah. And that's what we saw today. Other teams is... like your Spurs way, the way they play is counter-attacking. They don't get caught often in building up because they don't like to do that. So there's pros and cons of all different styles. And today I just think we saw the sneaky, frustrating part of expansive build-up play is if it turns over. And it's how fullbacks.
The next step is how do you make that more secure, Robbie?
Yeah, more secure. Have a bit more insurance somehow.
It is going to turn over. But I think the biggest thing I take away for Arsenal, and you're right, it was a day when they got beat, but there shouldn't be too much disappointment. I thought they retained their personality. Yes, they turned it over, but I was looking today like, okay, this is a bit bigger. This is at Old Trafford. This is Man United. We know the world's watching. It's on TV. This was another kind of test, and I wondered whether we'd still see the Arsenal who get on the ball and Odegaard and Saka. They did it all. They did it all. They tried it all, and I thought that, if anything, was the most impressive thing for me today.
There was 3 subs made by Mikel Arteta, Robert, 2-1 down with about 20 minutes to go.
Got a bit of criticism from some places.
Yeah, again, that was the other little bit of criticism that was out there, that he went for it too early. Maybe. I think we've seen him before play Gabriel Martinelli at left back. Yeah. Of course, it's an incredibly attacking move, and Martinelli isn't really going to want to do too much of that.
Did it Fulham last week?
Was it last week against Fulham? He did the same thing. Recent. Yeah, they come back and find a way to win the game. So there's that, but I'd rather manage to do something. And on the other side of that, by the way, I thought Eric Ten Hag subs were good, more defensive. Fred come on, Casemiro come on, and Eric's he's quick on that stuff. He's obviously super planned guy. So that was the other thing maybe for Arsenal. Just to finish off for me, Rob, on this, I come into the game thinking one of these clubs is going to get the biggest boost in confidence and belief if they win the game. Yeah. For Manchester United to beat the league leaders who have been immaculate, the people have been speaking very highly and rightly so. To beat them is a big boost for them, and similarly for Arsenal to go there and win would have been the same. Yeah. So it does boost Manchester United. You look at the league table, Rob, they're 2 points behind Man City in second.
Yeah.
They're 3 points behind the team they just beat. This is a different... Are we looking at a different outlook, expectation for Man United now? Are we?
Yeah, I think because the guy in charge would want that, and that's going to be the standard. They're going to have some bad days. They're going to lose some games, and he'll deal with that. I was listening to a press conference. He did a couple of ones yesterday, Rob, and I heard him saying about we're under construction. I thought it was a really good way of saying what they're doing. Mike. I'm just starting the build. The utilities are going in. We've got other things to do, and that's where they are.
His foundations in.
Yeah, and he's doing. The other thing I would just say on the game, Rob, and where you've said, the winner gets the confidence. Where I slightly disagree is, I think the loser can take some confidence. I don't think today when losing means. I thought the loser
Not win
can
or
go.
bust, was it?
No, I thought the loser can. I thought Arsenal can go away and retain some confidence as well. I thought there was enough good things happening in the game. Enough control of the game where they should still be taking some confidence from what they've done. Gone to Old Trafford, against a good United team now playing with a little bit more confidence and gave a good account of themselves.
Great game, though.
Yeah,
Loved
brilliant
it.
game. Brilliant game of football. Great quality. Let's move it to Stamford Bridge, mate, because we had an interesting game there. Chelsea-West Ham. Chelsea won 2-1 in the end. Unfortunately, we have to talk about goals and VAR and that in this game, but... Was the Chelsea team, Rob?
Changed. Much changed team, wasn't it?
Much changed team.
Yeah.
Pulisic started with Gallagher in midfield.
Fofana made his debut.
Sterling up top, Loftus-Cheek in midfield. I mean, he switched it around a little bit, Thomas Tuchel. But I've got to be honest, the football wasn't brilliant again.
No, this is in that window, Rob, isn't it? Where, there's 6 games going on at the same time. It's hard to kind of really be specific about what happened in every single game. But of course, we did the highlights a bunch of times. And the highlight was dominated by a disallowed goal for West Ham United, Rob, right near the end. 2-1 down, would have got a point. Maxwell Cornet scores when Edward Mendy comes off his line to punch. And it's Gerrard Bowen, wasn't it?
Gerrard Bowen goes in for the challenge. Again, if anybody on the planet sees it live, watching the game, the keeper comes out, Gerrard goes over the top, it comes out, and they score the goal. Nobody is thinking anything else. But of course, we know the VAR livens right up when a goal goes in. Remote control. Okay, what can we? And they found a foul. That was a clear and obvious error. Deemed a foul of Bowen on Mendy when
the call, right? Which I think most people think, that's kind of correct. Was a clear and obvious error. Now, so we feel for David Moyes. You saw him going to the referees at the end of it. Incredibly disappointed. The points lost on that, and subsequently, the PGMOL after a Premier League kind of statement saying we want a kind of review of that, have said it was a mistake. By
the way, let's just stop there.
All right.
Let's just stop there. PGMOL and VAR have realised they made a mistake. That doesn't help David Moyes. It doesn't help West Ham. It doesn't help Maxwell Cornet.
Everybody makes mistakes, mate.
Yeah, everybody makes mistakes. But that's not enough. That ain't enough, mate. In a big London derby, and I know Chelsea fans will turn to the Cucurella, the pulling the hair, and we get that, and that's just happened, and that should have been seen. But this incident yesterday, you can't just. Everything isn't okay just by saying sorry. Everything isn't okay. VAR was brought in to do the job, and it's not doing the job properly. And David Moyes will spend time on the training ground. You work hard, you put all your effort in the week and work and practice and getting things right, and then somebody at VAR makes a decision and then says sorry, and that's okay. No.
Also is I think is so sad is the celebrations, and we saw it with Richarlison and celebrations that are so spontaneous. The fans love it, and the knee slides and everything else is so often taken back, and it's embarrassing, and it's what I hate most about bringing video technology in is that spontaneity. And now even the commentator in one of the games this weekend said goal goes in. And part of his goal call was, well, hang on, there might have been an offside. Well, we don't want to hear that. In fact, it wasn't.
Let's just celebrate the goal. He was Trossard when he thought it was offside.
So it's like, I mean, to be fair, this is the first time this season that we've got fired up because of officials not using the system well enough. And you know, I just feel like just stay out, VAR, stay out. It doesn't. They talk about the English game being fast and furious, and that's why people love it. We don't want to get involved. Well, we are getting involved, but they don't need to. Clear and obvious. Is that going away now? Or? Anyway, but we've gone there again on this game because this is one of the bad ones. There's one other one we've got to mention.
This is a bad one. Let's talk just quickly, mate, about Chelsea, because the window's shut now. There's been a certain amount of activity. They've got Koulibaly in the door. They've got Fofana back on the pitch. They've got Aubameyang who was sitting in the director's box. I think he's got broken jaw at the moment, so he's going to be out for a couple of weeks before they get fit. Does everything start falling into place now, or should everything start falling into place? Because the football still ain't great, mate. I've got to be honest, they struggled up front again. They bought Chilwell came on as a sub, and Havertz came on as a sub, and ended up Chilwell got a goal and assisted Havertz for the other goal. So decisions that he made, maybe didn't quite work out, from an attacking point of view. Don't things have to start to happen a little bit for Tuchel in this group now? They spent a lot of money, mate. Spent a lot of money in this window.
$270 million this summer. Yeah. And please don't tell me they've got worse. Wesley Fofana started the game, right? $85 million. I'm just going to run through some of the... So like, we know that Aubameyang is going to give him a goal threat, that he scored everywhere he's been. Yeah. So if he doesn't score at Chelsea with some of the players they've got, then there's a whole different question about, hang on a minute, tactics and managers getting best out of front players, something we've mentioned before about none of the 4 players at Chelsea have really done well.
Maybe Sterling apart.
Maybe so far. But just the bench, Rob. Jorginho, Broja, Mason Mount, Chilwell, Ziyech, Azpilicueta, Kai Havertz. I mean, they're stacked. They got Aubameyang to come back in as well. Fofana started like this. Come on. I mean, where they are sat in sixth place right now on 10 points after 6 games is not good enough. Window's closed. Go and do your stuff. Talk about Tuchel being involved in the recruitment, which taking him off the training ground. Okay, maybe. Not now.
No excuses now.
So, we're not sure what the ownership are going to feel about managers and pressure and this is English football in the Premier League, and it's a little different to the US sports in terms of sticking with their managers. But to answer your question, that's a good squad of players. That's a ton of money spent. And, whatever system you want to play, however you want to do it, you've got options to do it. And that's the key word right now. Pulisic gets the start in this game, Rob, number 10. Looking at the list here. I feel like for him, he's got to be like outstanding every time
every minute counts for him, mate. Every minute on that pitch, he's got to look like he's going to make something happen.
And yes, he started. But he's not going to. He's not going to be a regular. And that's why it's so disappointing for him, I think, and US watchers for the World Cup that he didn't get his move. But he got his start. Let's see if he can hold his place. They won the game. Sometimes they got an unchanged team when you win. We'll see.
They've also got Champions League to deal with now that kicks in for Chelsea as well, and face Fulham away next week. It's the first game next weekend at Craven Cottage. So interesting time coming up for Thomas Tuchel and his team. He's got his group now. They've spent the money. Now we've got to see. Go and do your business. Let's go back to the first game of the weekend, the Merseyside derby at Everton. Everton don't have a great record in this game, but always know that there's going to be commitment and the way you go. I thought Everton came out with plus points, some big plus points in this game, my friend. It was a great 0-0, and anyone who watches football and thinks it's all about goals, I mean, there was great goal action, great saves, some chances that should have gone in, some chances nearly just missed. But I thought Everton come out of this game with some real credit, and I thought Frank's team were well set up, well organised, and probably, although Liverpool had a couple of good chances, would feel that they could have won this one.
Yeah, I think when you look at the two lineups, it's obvious that there's more technical quality with Liverpool. Yeah. But for me, Everton made up for that difference with will, with spirit. They wanted the game. They were more fired up for this derby than Liverpool players were. I mean, there's some young players playing for Liverpool in midfield. Harvey Elliott started. Fabio Carvalho started. Got pulled out of the game a little later on. But no, I thought Everton were really good. The Amadou Onana, this midfield player, Rob. I remember we both looked at, there was one play, wasn't it, where Everton had a breakaway. I'm
going to put my thumb mark on him now. In the next 2-3 years, mate, he
made a run from from maybe the halfway line into the box,
yeah.
and everybody else is going flat out.
Yeah.
And we looked at each other.
He was gliding, wasn't he?
These big old strides,
big old glide.
and he went into the box. And
Vieira-esque. I remember playing Vieira one time.
Just
Patrick
big
Vieira, and saw
stride.
that stride. And he's going to be a player, isn't he?
thought he was a standout. Thought he was a bit of a standout. And we know that just like Ghana Gay came into the game.
Will be better,
and
they?
it puts Anana in an 8, an attacking midfield role, because Idrissa Ghana Gay will just sit in there. I thought it was a really good game, good game. And when we do the highlights, of course, we have to pick out the best bits. And it was even.
Yeah,
both
it was
at the post and the woodwork in the first half. Mope has
Davies
a
has
brilliant
a
chance.
Mope has a chance on a breakaway. Probably should score. Goalkeeper makes a save, and then Liverpool hit the post a couple of times. And late on, it brings me to my underappreciated performer of the week, my friend, from this game. There's a certain Jordan Henderson. Jordan Pickford.
I was going to say
Jordan Henderson wasn't even playing.
That's really underappreciated.
Yeah, he's underappreciated because he wasn't there. Jordan Pickford in goal for Everton. I thought he was outstanding. He made 8 top-class saves on the day. He's captain of the football club. He's got that spirit about him. He is often maligned. I think the moment he makes a mistake, everybody's on to him.
He's not often maligned, but when he makes a mistake, he gets hammered a bit.
I think people are always looking for a negative on him. Oh, he looks busy. Oh, he's kicking. Oh, he's erratic. Oh, this guy has been playing at a really good level. He's captain in a football club and is a top 4 goalkeeper in the country. At the moment, he's not playing for top 4. He's a top 4 goalkeeper.
Well, he's England's number 1.
Yeah, he's a top 4 goalkeeper. He can play. I mean, brilliant with his feet. Can play out the back with that left foot. Can ping it miles. He's maturing. I know he's working hard on his game to control his emotions. I just think he's one of them players who is underappreciated how good he is. You're England's number 1, and you're playing in a difficult transition period at Everton. Came up with a couple of great saves. The one onto the crossbar, I think, from a Nunez strike that got a deflection, and the one late on from Mo Salah was probably even better, where he gets a fingertip that knocks it onto the post and Salah goes wide. So Jordan Pickford's my underappreciated player.
I think it's valid as well, because this category is for players that are better than what the perception is a little bit. And great example, and it's just the way he celebrates afterwards. He makes the saves, pretty amazing. Just switching over to Liverpool, Rob, real quick, because I mean, of course, we make notes during the game and stuff. And my note at the half time was, apart from the last few minutes, the double play where what is it?
Nunez has the shot, and then Diaz hits the post. Yeah,
Liverpool didn't look like scoring. That's what I've written down. Don't look like scoring. Why? And why was so why is the intensity a little lower for a derby game than Everton? Right? You know, maybe with Everton's situation you could understand that. Why don't they look? And I know people can immediately say, "Well, hang on a minute, they scored 9 goals versus Bournemouth," and I get that. But in this first 45 minutes, they didn't really look like scoring. What's missing from them?
To me, Rob, and people. I think the backlash, and people point to, there's no Mane, he's the reason. Listen, they've won games without Mane before.
I mean, the guy's playing his position, scoring goals, by the way, and looks pretty good.
Nunez, Diaz on the right, you've got Nunez up. I don't think Liverpool have found their intensity groove. And I think their intensity groove sets up all the other things.
Because of what? Because of winning the ball, transition, turnovers, and those front players come alive.
Yeah, and they've got quality with their speed. You know, you get quick play. You know, Adama Traore, he's quick, he can run, but Mo Salah has got unbelievable quality at top speed. But they've not got to that level yet of top speed, Rob. They're like in half gear. And half gear makes them not the same players.
Top speed comes about when there's spaces and opportunities to run into.
Yeah.
And I think you're making a point of, I think everybody, and this is just an interest, I mean, I've thought about this for a long time, it's like, everybody thinks of watching a team, you always naturally watch the team on the ball.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, we have the ball, how are we going to score?
Yeah.
I mean, they've got people like Carvalho and Harvey Elliott and Thiago, etc., that's been in their midfield. And sometimes it's often hard to find ways through and create chances and scoring goals.
Yeah.
I reiterate, most goals are scored by turnovers.
Yeah.
And who's great at turning the ball over a few years ago? Gini Wijnaldum. Closing the ball down. Henderson, closing the ball down. And forcing the turnovers. Turnover, through ball because the opponents are out of the way, and then the front players come alive.
Yeah.
We saw it in Man United the game against Liverpool actually when they won the ball back and their front players come alive because the opportunity's on to counter attack. That part of the game I think is just overlooked a little bit, and it's all about all right, we've got it, overlap on this and diddle-a-dib between the lines and all that, which is part of it. But more goals come from forcing mistakes. And Liverpool's midfield, even though it looks a little silky, and I love what Harvey Elliott does at times, and Cavalier what he could potentially do. I just think what made them great is when the midfield were at it, and they were so hard to play against, and the back four were protected so well that they didn't really have to run in behind because players never could get their head up because of midfield pressure.
The midfield also ignited the front guys who would be at it as well. How many times did Firmino nick the ball
because
and start again, and then Salah comes
pressing
in because of the infectious press? But they're not at that level again yet. Now, I don't know if that's a matter of time. I don't know if that's a byproduct of, some have suggested, it's hard to keep doing that on a constant basis. Is there a different way of playing that we'll have to see from them?
It's going to be mixed. Examples being Leeds United versus Chelsea, win the ball back, score. Man United versus Liverpool. You could even say Man United today against Arsenal. Turnovers, boom. There you go. 1, 2, 3 passes in, and they score goals. So I'm just giving a different viewpoint of why their attack isn't firing. And so often, Rob, I remember as a player, we're thinking if we're better without the ball, it's going to help us in our attacking with the ball. So
just one player who Mo Salah, my friend.
Similar to I think not benefit.
He's part of that.
Yeah. Wants to come alive. Wants to run forward when everybody else is running back.
He needs that intensity from his teammates in his game.
Give him the ball. And he's got a winger and a fullback against him. What can he do?
Yeah.
If everybody's set in their positions, it's hard, isn't it, to find a way through.
He gets played in on angles and he can make those runs from out to in and the spaces there. Yeah, that's when he comes alive. Yeah, a little bit of work for Liverpool to sort things out. I thought it was a really good day for Everton and Frank Lampard and his team. And
more stable now, Rob, aren't they? More stable, good signings, sensible signings.
Yeah, with those two, Tarkowski and Cody at the back, with Garner and Onana in midfield, and then Mopé up front. I was a little disappointed. I thought we could have done a little bit better. DCL will come back into the team, and that it looks a lot better. Didn't it? We talked about Frank and what he's got to do at this football club. That was a good performance in the Merseyside derby. Let's take it to Villa Park. Pressure was on Steven Gerrard. Coming off 3 straight defeats. People starting to ask questions about Stevie against the Manchester City team that are never easy to face. They were 2-0 up on Championship Sunday, last game of the season at Villa Park, got beat 3-2. So, all eyes on this one in terms of, can City turn them over, keep their good form going, and could Villa, put up some resistance? And again, Rob, a little bit like the Everton game, I thought the will and drive and the setup, I thought they were really well set up, Steven Gerrard's team. No Coutinho, no Buendia, so almost went like great players in possession, but we've got to be difficult to play.
Totally agree with him. Yeah, Christmas tree, 4 at the back, 3 midfield, 2 and then 1. Super strong during the middle, and I think it suited the team that he picked. I wouldn't necessarily want to see that team against many other sides in the Premier League, particularly at home.
Teams you think
where we want to try
and
create a little bit. But I thought well organised, compact. I don't want to get too geeky on it all, but they weren't pressing too high. They weren't sitting. It was a mid-block is my little buzzword for this pod. Mid-block, which I think was great because it made Haaland was like, well, I can run in behind, but it's kind of a distance. And then I just thought it was really well done, well coached, well organised. They got their point. Excellent performance. Man City again is one of the games tough to assess for me because I thought they looked really good.
Yeah. Just didn't take chances, did they? Had a ton of chances that, normal days, one of those goes in and then it all opens up. But they didn't ever get that second goal.
Yeah, and listen, of course, we always look at this new player, Erling Haaland, and I'm fascinated.
We've got to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean,
10 goals in 6 Premier League games.
Yeah, but it's just the hunger of the man. To score goals is what is dominating Man City.
Insatiable, yeah.
Now, it can't be a bad thing, but his prowess, his presence in that team now, because he's got such a great start. I think if you're any other team member, you're like, we've got to get him the ball in the box.
Well, it happened a couple of times, Rob, and he wasn't the best pass on. And do you remember once when somebody ran through with the ball, might have been Foden or Gundogan, and tried to play him in, and I said, that wasn't the right pass really, but such as you say, as his prowess is, give him the ball in the box, he looks like he's going to score.
Yeah, he does. It demands service, and it looks like he's going to score every time it comes near him. I thought, to be fair, Tyrone Mings fired him up a little bit, got in his face a little bit.
Grappled him.
I'm not going to say he put him off, because I don't think it did, but it was an interesting tactic from a centre-back trying to stop him. He fights a little bit, and then he carry on with his movement, and he's still hungry to score goals. You know, it's like, if they win the game 2-1, Rob, my thought is more about Blimmerneck. How'd you stop him? Because he looked beast-like, I thought, in this game. And again, there'll be other games he scores more goals or whatever, but it's tough to think how to stop him. If he can run in behind you when you're high, and if you're deep, well, good luck trying to defend the crosses. And if you want to fight him, he'll push you back and he'll carry on playing. So, but is there a downside, Rob, to this? Is there a downside to Man City having a focal point as magnetising and as strong as what he is? Is there a does it mean that Gundogan but they don't get their goals?
They can still. They've shown us, Rob. I think that question's been answered. They've shown us they can do it in other ways. They can do it false nine. They can do it with a centre forward. They can do it with Alvarez in there. They can do it with Bernardo Silva in there. They've got options, and that's what probably. And I think we talked on the podcast. Across all competitions now, Manchester City carry a threat. Whether you're going to put, and you mentioned it on the air, more crosses in the box than we've ever seen a Man City team. We're seeing it because this guy can do it. So on maybe days when the football's not working, well, let's get one or two.
Quick last point on that. But if they're crossing more balls, and it's a day where they're not connecting with those crosses,
you lose possession of the ball.
You lose possession of the ball. I guess my point is, would they have been better playing with a false nine in this game? Am I always going to say that when they don't win with Ireland?
I mean, he is what he is. They've got what they got, and he's been.
It's going to change the way they play a little bit.
Little word for Villa, and you know, good performances, defensively well set up. Good day for Steven Gerrard. Good point that now he's got to make sure that his team start picking up a few more on the run. Let's move it on to Tottenham. 2-1 winners against Fulham. Harry Kane coming up with 5 goals in 6 Premier League games for him. Tottenham team, Rob, that I think we know more or less what we're getting now. I think Longley came in, didn't he, left centre back.
Romero was back. Christian Romero was back.
That was back, yeah. And Richarlison got a start, Rob. And while many of us were possibly thinking Son's going to maybe have a rest, not scored, it was Kulusevski who went to the bench. So he mixed things up top. He's got Richarlison in the team who's been really doing well, coming on and making an impact, and he's got the result again. Yeah, well, that's what he can do. And that's the option that he's got with signing Richarlison. And whoever it is that comes out, and it's very rarely going to be Harry Kane, I would think, he's got a great option there. And I think with Spurs, they're getting their results. And I'm not saying they're under the radar, but there's nothing scintillating from Tottenham. There's nothing headline worthy of incredible big victories or amazing football. They are getting the job done in a efficient, that's probably the best word, in an efficient manner. Single goal victories. Sometimes they got to hold on is the wrong phrase, but they got to defend, see things out, which they've done really, really well. Fulham did get a goal against them today. But it's they're finding themselves, and I think there's more to come. There's more to come when they do, because there's a feeling, Harry Kane said it last time, Rob, and the manager said it, we can play better. But it's good when you're winning games and still not playing at your maximum. So you made changes. I think it's good to get some of the new players some time. Longley, the defender, of course, you talked about Romero being back, and Richarlison. The more players get minutes and then know the way that Antonio Conte likes to play, the better it's going to help them going forward. So well done, Spurs. They keep getting 3 points. I tell you what, it's an interesting point, and I just did a little bit of looking back. So I think it was 2016-17 when Conte won the title. They won the title a little bit under the radar. In that season,
it wasn't a big points total, was it? Or was it?
No, I don't think it was big. 16 clean sheets had over the season, so almost half. So that's something. They had 14 different goal scorers. I think it was 14 different goal scorers, and went on a run that won them the title with 13 straight wins. So they went on one of those runs where they weren't brilliant. It wasn't like 4s and 5s and eye-catching like the Cities and maybe when Liverpool catch a eye. But they've got about their business. 1-0, 2-1s, getting 2-0s, and that's what you sense of Conte. It was interesting this week, just before the window, Rob, just very quickly on this, and where he sort of had another little blast about we're 2 or 3 windows away from the top team. I thought that. Listen, maybe that's just the guy. Maybe that's just him pushing the thing. It's a decent group of players now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a good group of players. It is.
You know,
it's just trying to temper expectations a little bit.
Maybe.
You know,
just.
But that unspectacular transition attack, whatever we want to call it, of winning the ball back, they're brilliant at it.
Yeah,
they're brilliant at it. And next weekend we're going to see how that style goes against
the complete opposite.
Complete opposite.
Yeah, beautiful football.
Well done,
Let's take it down to the Amex, my friend, because we had Brighton facing Leicester team. We had Graham Potter against Brendan Rodgers in the sort of battle of the smart British coaches, and Mr. Potter, our friend, came out on top by a distance. Yeah, we're 1-0 down, actually. Leicester started the game really well, got a goal through Iheanacho, who come into the team with Vardy on the bench. Daka and Iheanacho started up front in a 4-4-2. Pretty simple, with Maddison one side, Barnes the other, Tielemans in midfield. Let's talk about Brighton first, because they won the game, played great football. Let's not go too much into the disallowed VAR goal of McAllister, but another sort of VAR intervention that we were disappointed in. But this football club, and we mentioned it on air, and I'm happy to repeat myself, that you sell Yves Bissouma, you sell Cucurella, and you sell Neil Maupay. 3 important first-team players, some of your best players. And you are 4th in the table. You have 13 points, and you show that sometimes moving players on, freshening things up, gives us opportunities, it brings other players in, and we continue to play our football, and we continue to believe in what the processes are and what the manager wants. That's what we saw from Brighton today.
Just more example of a club doing things right. Well, there was a goal, Rob, wasn't there? I think it was Moises Caicedo's goal. Yeah. Where again there's a turnover. That happens a lot. And Mwepo.
Turnover is your word of the day.
It is my word of the day. Mwepo wins the ball, steams through the middle of the park. Brilliant recruitment. Mwepo, like anybody else, think about him. Yeah. And then Moises Caicedo, this young kid, I think got his name.
Another one, anybody thinks 20, he's 20.
He's 20, And there's late bid, wasn't there? Wasn't there late bid? Chelsea came in late bid in the window for him. Goes through and scores a goal. Like, when you've got recruitment like that, they're okay with losing the players because they're so on getting replacements and planning for that, that it's brilliant. And, you know, Brighton are 4th. They're 4th in the Premier League, 2 points behind the top of the Premier League. Of course, only 6 games played, and they're not going to stay there. But just more examples, Rob, of technically gifted players, good recruitment. Daniel Welbeck was back into the side, he was rested in midweek. Pascal Gross, it's the same people. Lissandro Trossard played as a wing-back on the left-hand side.
Estupiñán was on the bench.
Solly Marsch. So even though it's a 5 at the back, it's not 5,
Trossard's not really a wing-back, is he?
No, Solly Marsch.
Solly Marsch isn't a wing-back. But in that system...
And by the way, how about Alexis McAllister, who's a number 10?
Playing as a holding
midfield player. So when you look at the team as a whole, in terms of defenders, like natural defender, there's 3. Yeah.
And they got one of the best.
Duncan
one
Webster.
of the best defensive records in the
defend by
league,
keeping the ball and trusting technical players to keep it, so the opponents don't get the ball and attack you. Brilliant. Nothing else to say. It's brilliant. And before we switch to Leicester, Rob, because the only thing I would say is Graham Potter. Should he think about an exit at some point to further his career? We've seen others that have done brilliant jobs at clubs that are a little smaller, that they're so long it goes a bit pear-shaped.
I hear what you're saying, and I get the sentiment. By that, what do you mean? Should he? Can he? He don't want to force his way out. I don't want him to reckon.
No, I don't.
He doesn't want to force his way out.
But the next time there's a big managerial job that comes up,
he might want to throw his hat in the ring. He might want his agent to throw his hat in the ring. But I think, you know, when we'll talk about Leicester and we'll talk about Brendan Rodgers, there was a time when Brendan Rodgers was the guy who was going to get the next Big Six job. Yeah. And he's not that guy anymore. No. Graham Potter is that guy.
At the moment.
At the moment. And I'm saying to you, I think Graham Potter believes in the football club that he's at to be doing the right things, that he's going to stay ahead of the game. Their recruitment mob is fantastic. They take some kids, send them back on loan. They've got 3 or 4 sort of African-based kids who they've bought, who've gone back to the football clubs and come back. Billy Gilmore's a
Great little signing.
$12 million.
Yeah, for the way that he plays and the philosophy is perfect.
Perfect. So I get your point, and I'm agreeing with your point that at some point, Graham Potter might have to show his ambition of wanting to get one of those.
But he's got to go to the right club. Because
Correct.
if he goes to a club that recruitment isn't great, then all of a sudden...
And he has a bad relationship, not the relationship with the sporting director and whatever.
Yeah.
And that's why I think he's in a good spot. He's got a good team around him. He's got a good ownership group. In that football club. He's got a great sporting director and CEO. Yeah. Do you know what? I think he can still keep showing how good he is. And then when the right size one, let me tell you, if Thomas Tuchel gets under a bit of pressure,
well,
he might go into that football club and
I think you look at the others there as well. Like if Antonio Conte explodes, implodes, or whatever, and leaves Spurs, I mean, he would be in play for that. Yeah. Listen, let's go from one manager whose stock price is really, really high to a manager's stock price that was really, really high. Sell. On a bear market. He's in bear mode. He's at the bottom.
Bear Brendan. Is that what he's saying?
I mean, is this... Let's cut to the chase. Is this recoverable for Brendan Rodgers at this club?
Yeah, because I believe in the coach. That's the only reason I would say so. You know when you believe in him right now.
Some of the things he's saying,
I think a good
his demeanour.
I think a good football coach is good. If you can ride a bike, you're right. Yeah, I do. But
didn't turn around at other clubs that were starting to go wrong.
Some he didn't. I think he's a good enough coach. I think he's a good enough group, and I think he should be given time to prove or disprove that theory.
Right. So do good coaches regularly motivate their players?
Correct. That's one of.
So go on then. So you say he's a good coach.
Yeah.
I don't see the team fired up.
I'm not saying he's doing that now. I'm saying why I still would give him the chance, because I believe he's a good coach. He isn't doing the job well at all at the moment, and he's saying some things that I think are strange for the dressing room, strange for the ownership, strange for the fan group. You know, the 40-point survival thing. I'm not sure what that's all about, and it's a group of players, Rob, who. Minus Fofana.
Same.
Ain't much difference.
Goalkeeper's different.
The goalkeeper who...
And that's a problem, because that's a big...
You're not too happy with Danny Wood.
I'm telling you, I don't think he'll be in goal there much longer.
Yeah.
Because I think he's a...
These teammates who are not happy, you can tell. I saw him with Ndidi today, him and Ndidi had words, and that didn't go down well, and that shows lack of... But Brendan's got... Listen, Brendan Rodgers is got to show now how good a coach he is, or is he just a good time when things are good and he's won the FA Cup and he's just finished outside top 4.
Eighth last season,
got to the Europa Conference semi-final. It's
okay
to a level.
Yeah,
come on, Brendan. Come on, my friend.
All I'm saying is, and I agree with a lot of that stuff, and you've got to hope that he can turn the mentality and the spirit. I think that's the problem right now. I think coaching-wise, we know he's a good coach, but you've got to be able to motivate your players. I've just seen many times, we both have, managers that are on a spiral. They're on a spiral, and they can't find a way out of it. I worry that might happen. They've conceded 16 goals, Rob. To lose 5-2 at Brighton.
Yeah, Brighton don't score 5 goals, do they, really? I mean, that's one of the criticisms of Brighton.
Listen,
it's great football.
I really hope that he gets them back on track.
What's the Mustoe
My gut is saying he's not going to survive this over a long period of time.
Wow.
I don't know whether he can turn this around.
Aston Villa next week is a big game, my friend.
And listen, I hope they go longer. You listen,
some good players in there, isn't there? Like when you see the Tielemans goal and the Daka bit movement
Daka's
at times, and actually bits and pieces.
Madison was in and out. He made some mistakes, didn't he, for one of the goals he gave the ball away. But Barnes, Madison, Daka, I thought they fiddled around with the ball, trying to play out, giving the ball away. I looked at the front players, starved of possession. 5-2 at Brighton is pretty bad.
Ownership group at Leicester are ambitious, and listen, they've thrown money into that football club, and they're used to better things, to more than this.
No. I think they'll be patient with him for a good amount of weeks. But my gut is telling me that's going to take some turnaround.
6 weeks, mate. We start getting to.
Well, actually, so look at the fixtures, right?
International.
Up to October, end of October. They've got Villa, Spurs difficult, So Villa, Forest, Bournemouth, Palace, Leeds.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
yeah. If we're going into Leeds and we're still in
if
the
you're into November, and you're in the bottom 3, see ya.
Yeah.
You've got to turn it around. You've got to change it.
You're going to be working on a World Cup sofa.
Yeah, it's going to be in the TV studio. All right, what's next up, my friend?
We've got a couple of other results, my friend, to look forward to. We've got Brentford 5, Leeds 2. Sort of strange scoreline. Jesse Marsch, we both enjoy. We listen to the pressers. We listen to how his team is set up. He goes away to Brentford. Had a lot of praise for Brentford, how they do their business, how they're well set up. He talked about Thomas Frank and the work he's done on the training ground. Obviously very respectful, but they got opened up a little bit. And you did a little piece on the tactics board in terms of when they go forward, how they sometimes leave the back door open.
We love the press. Love it. Love it.
Bielsa-esque in some respects, and so it proved. Ivan Toney coming up with a hat trick and Bowman with a goal as well, and it's a difficult one because Jesse Marsch actually got himself a red card as well, Rob, didn't he, for stuff on the side. And I always just think with Jesse, and I'm going to put it right out there now, I love the guy. I think he's done a brilliant job. He's represented himself and his country and everything about him. Just be careful, Jess. Don't sort of get overboard with it at the moment.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Chill.
And this isn't the first time, by the way. Not even at this club, other clubs. Yeah. He's admitted that sometimes I don't do a great job on the sideline. He gets too carried away with everything. Yeah. You've got to have a bit of composure.
Yeah,
and your team's got to have a little bit of composure at times as well. And we have praised, and we've done sessions on how he closes the ball so well, and it's brilliant. It's really hard to play against. But the downside is there's so many players that go forward that you're a little bit exposed, and it happened again in this game. The centre-backs are on their own a little bit, counter-attacks, find way through that press, and there's a little bit of joy to be had. So a little bit, humbling's maybe is a little strong for this, but again, you lose 5-2 to Brentford. That's a lot of goals conceded for them as well. It's a good start, and I'm sure he likes his team. He said it a lot of times he likes his team, but there's got to be a little bit of balance there, and I think he'll learn that. I think he'll figure out that sometimes we've got to be a little bit careful the way that we play and be a little bit more willing to be defensively compact. I think he said afterwards that defending we've got to do a better job. But I mean, Brentford's point of view, Rob, I mean, Ivan Toney almost got my underappreciated performer, not because he's not appreciated because he scored 3 goals, but higher than that, a higher level than that. Hang on a minute, is this guy, is he a top 4, 5, 6 striker? Because he might be, and I wasn't sure, that he could be. He can score different types of goals. The free kick was stunning. The
one who runs past, clips over the goalkeeper. Good
talent.
Variety.
He's a brilliant penalty taker, as we know. I just and their front line. I mean, and Bournemouth scores his goal as well. Keane Lewis Potter is as we say, a sneaky good signing. $24 million, actually a club record. So maybe not that sneaky. But I think you're going to find he's going to be good from the left-hand side. I mean, another club that's great recruitment. They're into back 4. Players missing in midfield, Norgard. But thrashed Leeds 5-2. Like, well done. And Leeds, great start. Lots of people talking very nicely. It's the league, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the league. I mean, you can never.
Soon as you start thinking those pat on the backs and we've arrived, this league will turn you over. And team that found that out this weekend at the City Ground, Nottingham Forest 2, Bournemouth 3, 2-0 up for Forest. And everybody's talked about the 22 players in the window and what must be going on in that dressing room and sorting things out. Well, they get themselves 2-0 up, Rob, and look in a comfortable position. I remember we were in the studio, weren't we, and saying, I think you or Rebecca said, these are the games you've got to win. Bournemouth at home, you've really got to win these to be in the
2-0 up as well, wasn't it?
2-0 up, you're thinking that's job done. And then again, same thing with this league. You think that the game's done and over. Bournemouth come back, Gary O'Neill's in charge, got a duel last weekend at Wolves and ends up with a 3-2 win, having been 2-0 down from home. And well done Bournemouth for just showing that fight and grit and what it takes sometimes to hang into a game and get something out of it.
Everybody's writing them off a little bit, for the Premier League season. Nottingham Forest, Steve Cooper. Cool. Now we know there's a big job to be had, and we know that it's going to be literally impossible now to know what his best team is. but got to know it pretty quickly. He's got to know it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine the second bottom, Rob, after 6 games.
Yeah. Could have been so
10.
different, couldn't it?
Just watch the goal difference on all season. Watch goal difference. It's a very accurate indicator of how good your team is.
Yeah.
It just is.
Yeah.
Of course, the more games go on. -10. The only team worse is actually the team that beat them, is Bournemouth on -13. So Forest are in trouble. You know, I'm not saying in trouble right now.
Yeah.
But
I
mean,
mean, there's
a lot of money spent to stay in this division. And maybe they've all got contracts, relegation clauses or whatever.
Yeah,
and it's way too early to talk that stuff. But when you're 2-0 up against Bournemouth, who've been battered recently, and you lose the game at home with the euphoria there from promotion, that's startling.
Forest on next week, and Forest play on Monday. I actually play a game against Leeds.
Oh, blimey. At Leeds.
At Leeds, so that's a really interesting game, which was a big championship game for both those teams not too long ago, but both now playing in the Premier League. Let's just give Wolves a little mention. They got the 1-0 win against Southampton.
Pedence, wasn't it? Daniel
Pedence with it,
Funny little strike.
Looked like a cross back into the middle of the park, and he's kind of caught off his foot. He beats Bazzuno in goal, and it was enough to give them all 3 points. Shea Adams, actually, Rob, had a great chance second half to make it 1-1. The ball gets looped up in the air. There's nobody on the line. He goes to head the ball and either doesn't get the right contact to someone. It hits his head, it hits his arm, and goes over the line. And you can't assist yourself on a handball. And all of a sudden, that was the points gone for Southampton. So that would be disappointing for Southampton going to Wolverhampton Wonders. But a well-needed win.
First win for
of the season, And only 3 Premier League goals scored all season. And let's finish off with Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0. Another game that I know VAR had some intervention, and it was Tariq Mitchell looked like he'd scored an own goal. Then it went to VAR. VAR looked at it and said that Mitchell fouled Willock, who pushed him into the goalkeeper, which wasn't the case. I mean, the keeper. Well, he did foul.
He was pushed into the goalkeeper.
Mitchell pushed Willock into the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And then
VAR said, well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That's a foul.
That's a foul.
But it was clear that he was generally trying to head the ball in.
Yeah.
He gets the push.
Yeah.
He goes into the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
He can't help it. The ball ends up in the back of net. It should have been a goal.
Yeah, it should have been a goal. Should have been an own goal for Mitchell. Newcastle should have won 1-0.
Yeah.
And apparently the PGMOL have said they've looked at this again and sorry.
Yeah, it's a mistake.
Mistake. So sorry, Newcastle, we've cost you 3 points there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, mate. It seems sad to end on this, but it was just a weekend where, again, not the system, but the officials made some mistakes. And I think the managers and the players just want consistency and a little bit of clarity.
Well,
Howard Webb's
coming in, and we know Howard well, and was over here in the US, and you just get the sense he's no nonsense. He'll I think, get things sorted.
Come on. Yeah.
And hopefully we're not talking about VAR. Listen, mate, it's been a great weekend of football. The games come thick and fast. Started with the Merseyside derby on Saturday, finishing with a big match up at Manchester United on Sunday. We'll be back Wednesday, September the 7th, to recap the first round of the Champions League as the Big Four go hunting for the big trophy. But for now, I'm Earle, he's Mustoe, together with the 2 Robbies. Thanks for watching and listening. Be safe, stay healthy. It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Hi there, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch more videos all season long. For even more Premier League content, from original series to live matches, head over to Peacock and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings every weekend on USA Network and on Peacock. We will see you over there.